All right, guys. I figured that why not look over the 8CantWait website here. I've seen some other people take a look at this, and it got my attention simply because of the opening description here. Over the past week, we've heard from communities across the country who, like us, have demanded radical transformative change that moves beyond policing as key to public safety. We've seen dozens of cities adopt the goals of 8CantWait policies that can reduce the harm caused by police in the short term. And while we are proud of the impact we were able to make, we at Campaign Zero acknowledge that even with the best of intentions, the 8CantWait campaign, here we go, unintentionally detracted from efforts of fellow organizers invested in the paradigmatic shifts. That's a tough word. Paradigmatic, god damn it. Anyway, shifts that are newly possible in this moment. In other words, they're seizing an opportunity, right? For this, we apologize wholeheartedly and without reservation. Our organization was founded on utilizing a data driven approach to creating solutions, and we are building processes to ensure that our future projects are bolder, more transparent, and accountable to communities. Do we want to read more? Immediate harm reduction, comprehensive community safety, abolition. Research shows more restrictive use of force policies can reduce killings by police and save lives. Tell your city to adopt all 8 of these policies. So this is the core. These are the 8 policies. Let's take a look at some of these. Ban chokeholds and strangleholds. Most agencies that I have any experience with, that I am intimate with, including the ones that I worked for, chokeholds and strangleholds were limited to deadly force situations. In other words, you stayed away from the head or the neck if at all possible, unless it was a deadly force situation. Meaning that if you're trying to kill me, then I am obligated to use whatever I have at my disposal to defend my life or the life of a third party from grievous bodily injury or death. And if that means that the only thing available to me at the time is a chokehold to prevent you from killing me or someone else, then there you go. But outside of that, it is strictly prohibited. Not a good idea. Required de-escalation. Again, this is something that we're taught at the academy. Even back in 98, when I went, they taught you what we called verbal judo. It's a hell of a lot easier to talk somebody into handcuffs, talk somebody in the back of the patrol car, than it is to have to get into a fight. I don't want to fight. Nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to fight. It's dangerous. It fucking hurts. You know, it creates oftentimes more problems than it solves. You don't want to have to fight with somebody. I just want to do my job, and if a subject needs to be placed under arrest, and they're placed under arrest is in the simplest and most straightforward mean necessary. I don't want to have to fight. So requiring de-escalation, that's already a thing. De-escalation is already a thing. We don't choose, as law enforcement officers, about 90% of the time anyway, we don't choose whether a situation gets escalated or de-escalated. We can do our best to de-escalate it, but at the end of the day, the ball's in their court. Right? I can tell you until I'm blue in the face, turn around, put your hands behind your back. I can tell you to drop the gun. I can tell you to drop the knife. I can tell you you're under arrest. I can tell you to stop resisting. I can tell you to stop running. But that doesn't mean that the person's going to comply. This stuff assumes a compliant adversary. This assumes that whomever you're dealing with is willing to comply with whatever it is that you're doing. It's not the case. Require de-escalation. That sounds nice, but the reality of it is we're not escalating or de-escalating anything. We have to work with the other half of the equation. If they're willing to de-escalate, great. If they're not, that's on them, not on us. Requires exhaust all alternatives before shooting. No shit. It's not like we just roll up and cap people. Duty to intervene. I want to see what that means. Require officers to intervene and stop excessive force used by other officers and report these incidents immediately to a supervisor. Also, no shit. If you're out on a call with somebody and there's an arrest being made, or a fight starts, and your beat partner's just wailing on somebody well after they need to be wailing on someone, no shit, you stop them. I mean, that's obvious, and that's why when we look at this George Floyd situation, that's why those other 3 cops are up shit creek, because they didn't intervene. And whether or not whatever the arresting officer was doing at the time, let's say it fell within departmental policy. Let's say the chokehold fell within departmental policy and SOP. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That guy went too far. Those other 3 dudes didn't do anything. They may have said something, but they didn't do anything, and that's why they're fucked. This is just common sense. Ban shooting at moving vehicles. That's already written into our policy. Where I worked anyway, it will be closely scrutinized. Again, it's a deadly force type of a situation. Shooting at a moving vehicle for no good reason is dumb. Because now you kill the driver, you just created an unguided fucking missile. So, also no shit. There are times, if a vehicle's driving at you and you're stuck in a situation where you've got no route of escape, then, if that's a last resort, that's your only option. Again, a deadly force situation, you may have to do what you may have to do, but that's already addressed in most policies as far as I'm aware. Require use of force continuum. Also already a thing. It's already a thing. Force continuum is something you learn at the police academy. It's +1, right? You bring a fist, I bring a taser. You bring a knife, I bring a gun. What's your the first step in your force continuum is what? Officer presence. Just being there. This is already a thing. Require comprehensive reporting. Let's see what they mean by this. Require officers to report each time they use force or threaten to use force against civilians. Again, already being done. We went so far as, and this was kind of a pain in the ass, I'm not going to lie, but if we got out with somebody, if we stopped a car, even if it was a warning, we literally had to write a contact form. Even if we didn't issue an actual ticket, we had to write a contact form, essentially all their particulars, and race, because they track the race and ethnicity and gender is all tracked, so that the law enforcement, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, could look at that, and it went into our crime report, or not crime reporting, but into our reporting for the FBI, so that they could literally see on paper, it was documented, you're getting out with this many Asian people, you're getting out with this many African American people, you're getting out with this many white people, you're getting out with this many whatever, males and females and all of that. So it seems that of the 8 things that they've got listed here, they're all no shit, and I think they're all probably already in practice in most agencies of any size. Now, understand there are probably a lot of really small, well, not a lot, but probably some really small municipalities, 5, 10, 15, 20 cops that, maybe they don't have the budget for CALIA certification, or maybe they don't have the training available, and some of the stuff can get overlooked because it's just not available to them. For budgetary restriction reasons or experience reasons, or whatever the case may be. Now, there are ways to get that training. There are ways to get those things happen. You can reach out and get private funding. You can reach out to groups like Sheepdog Response, and man, they'll sponsor you to come and get the training that you need in kind of a train the trainer type of a situation, right? So there are avenues that you can use to get to this stuff. Police departments have adopted use of force policies, kill significantly fewer people, but few departments have adopted them. See, that's crazy talk. Um, require warning before shooting. That's not always a thing, right? You can't always say stop or I'll shoot or I'm going to shoot, because everything is based on time. If I open the door to my patrol car and I put my foot on asphalt and I step out of the car and I'm already taking rounds, what do you want me to say? If I answer a domestic call and open the door to the house and Joe Bob's got a gun to his wife's head, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? It's nice if it's available, but that doesn't mean it's always going to happen. Let's see here. Immediate harm reduction, use of force policy. Yeah, here's a good one. Demilitarization of police. And this is one that drives me absolutely fucking batty. Let's start with this. Generally you hear things like, well, why do the cops need tanks? As if we have tanks. Why do the cops need helicopters? Why do the cops need scary black machine guns or assault rifles or military style load-bearing vests or helmets? Or look, here's my reasoning behind it, and you can tell me I'm fucking stupid or not. One day something bad is going to happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. And it's not a matter of it being in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta. If something bad is going to happen, and I'm a bad actor, and I am looking for somewhere to create chaos, I am not going to go to a big city. I'm going to go to a medium or small city. If I'm a terrorist and I want to inflict maximum damage, I'm going to the mall in Hickory Sticks fucking wherever with an AK, and I'm just going to start blasting people. Now, when something like that happens, whether it be a terrorist attack or some type of civil unrest, who's going to be the first person to respond to that? It's going to be a beat car. It's going to be probably one cop in one car that's covering a beat area, and he's going to get this call of an active shooter at a school or an active shooter at a mall or somebody, a group of active shooters or whatever crazy ass thing you can think of. And he's going to go to that call in a patrol car, whether it be a Crown Vic or a Charger or a Police Interceptor or an Explorer or a Suburban or whatever, Yukon, whatever the hell it is. And he's going to have with him his duty weapon, his sidearm, with 2 or 3 extra magazines. He's going to have a shotgun, Remington 870 or whatever, with 10, 15, 20 rounds of buck or slug. And if he's lucky and he works in a smart agency, he's going to have a patrol rifle with a couple of extra magazines, some AR style type of patrol rifle. And that's it. So he's already, or she is already, drawn the short straw. They're already outgunned because there's one of them, and believe it or not, and this may come as a surprise to some of you, but cars aren't bulletproof. Glass isn't bulletproof. So you're already at a disadvantage. So why not afford the officer everything available to engage in at least a level playing field kind of a fight, right? Why not do that? Because it's not so much giving the officer a fighting chance to live It's about giving the officer a fighting chance to save as many people as he or she can with the tools available to them. And the better the tools they have available to them, the better chance they have of winning and saving lives. Now, let's use this as an example. Let's say you're working your beat and the call comes out at the high school in your beat area, and there's an active shooter inside, and you roll up to that school and you get out. And one of the questions I used to ask my trainees: active shooter call, you get dispatched to it, you arrive on scene. What's an acceptable amount of time to wait for backup? Well. The answer is fucking zero. There is no. You don't wait. You go. You unash your car. You grab what you've got. You unlock your shotty or your patrol rifle or both, and you sling something, and you fucking go. And you go handle business. That's what you do. So, why would you not want any and every means available to that officer to save as many lives, including his or her own? Why would you deny somebody that? Is it any different? Is getting shot by a bad guy any different here than it is somewhere else? So this demilitarization, I've always thought of it as modernization of law enforcement, not militarization. And all these stupid fucking memes you see all the time. When did this become this? And you got the fucking Adam 12 guys, and then they've got the SWAT guys, with all their kit and everything, and their tiny ding dongs. I'm kidding, SWAT guys. I'm kidding. But this became that when some guys in fucking L.A. with body armor all over themselves and AKs tried to rob a bank, and then had an hours-long shootout with guys using stub-nose 38s and wheel guns of all makes and models, and they had to go into a gun store and barter for ARs or M16 type weapons that were available at the time so that they could put these animals down. That's when that became that. When gangs, and ask anybody in Chicagoland, when choppers started appearing in trunks, when drive-bys started happening with AKs and not Glocks, that's when this became that. And for some reason you want to deny, and not you, but a faction of people want to deny us that means of protection for ourselves and for our community because it looks scary or it makes you uncomfortable. Now, if you're going to supply the equipment, you've got to supply the training. When we got issued patrol rifles, we had 2-week class, I think, patrol rifle class. And it was pretty comprehensive to make sure that we knew exactly what the fuck was going on. Now, those of us that had been in the military, it was a little easier for us than those that had not, but you learned everything from how to field strip and clean your weapon to basic marksmanship and shooting and moving and communicating and all the things. And you qualify on that thing just like you qualify with your duty weapon and your shotgun and your driving and your legal updates. So this mythical militarization, it's fucking stupid, man. It's stupid. If you have to perform a hostage rescue, do you want to do it in a Bearcat or do you want to do it in a Charger? Do you want to use a used military donated, got for free MRAP that was available to you, or do you want to use a Suburban or a Tahoe? I mean, it's pretty clear, but it's not so much for these people that they don't want you to have these things available to you because it scares them and they feel like you've got shit that they don't. And I can tell you right now that there's nothing that a law enforcement agency has, with maybe one or two exceptions, that a civilian can't own. A civilian can own pretty much whatever they want given the proper paperwork and paying, the ATF their money, their tithings. So, yeah. What else have we got here? DOJ consent decrees, police union contracts. I live in a right to work state. I've always worked in a right to work state, so I don't have experience with unions. I can't. Now, just hearing anecdotal stories, I understand that, like with any other union, whether it be public or private, sometimes it makes it hard to get rid of shitty people. So maybe that's something that should be looked at is, you know, how do we get rid of bad cops? And that's something that I guess the union wants to be on board with. Now, if the community and the city or county or state and the law enforcement agencies want to do the whole collective bargaining thing, that's up to them. That's on them. I'm not going to say one way or the other because I just don't have the experience with it to make an informed decision. But there has to be a way to get rid of shitty cops. There has to be. Divest from police. Sure, that makes perfect sense. Take money away from people. Pay living wages. To who? To us. That'd be nice. Dramatically reduce jail and prison populations. Does that mean let people out? Does that mean let people out that are supposed to be there? What does that mean? Restorative justice. I have no idea what that fucking means. Fund community safety. That's what you do when you fund law enforcement. Fully defund police. Now, this is under the abolition. End the carceral system. So don't put people in jail. Resource healthy community practices and needs. So those are unicorn dreams right there, man. Those are unicorn dreams. Let's see here. Research shows more restrictive use of force policies reduce killing police saves. I tell your city not these policies. What else? Comparison research for bias. Policy language. So they're going to tell you, I guess. Let's look at this and see what it says. Oh no, fuck you, it's PDF. Oh no, it's not. All officers are responsible for knowing complying with this policy. Use of force, minimal reliance on force. Law enforcement officers, police department shall only use physical force when no other viable option is available. When all non-physical options are exhausted. No shit. In all cases where force is used, only the minimum degree of force which is necessary shall be employed. No shit. Alternatives to use of force. De-escalation. Placing barriers between uncooperative subjects and law enforcement officer. What if it's not the cop that's in danger? Containing a threat. Moving from position that exposes law enforcement officers to potential threats to safer position. Decreasing the exposure to potential threat by using distance cover concealment. Reasonable, proportional, and necessary force. Lawfully arrest, detain, or search, overcome active physical resistance. See, this is all no shit stuff right here. Compare cities. All right. Hey, I thought this website was going to be a little bit more interactive, I guess. Let's see what happens when we want to read more. While we do not consider these options sole victory, we believe that they are useful steps to pass towards collective goal. We need to be in further conversation with the rest of our community and committed to this moving forward. While we stand by the idea that any political leaders truly invested in protecting black lives should adopt the 8CantWait policies, we also believe the end goal for all of us should be absolute liberation from policing and encourage visitors to the site, support a range of organizers who are making progress in employing other strategies toward abolition, defunding the police, and reinvesting in community. If you're from a place where 8CantWait is being considered, demand steps towards defunding and abolition. If you are a legislator who has adopted these policies or considering it, please know that it will take many strategies to move beyond policing and use this time to learn more and listen to the needs of your community. Please scroll down to find information on abolition, anti-racism, and organizations you should be following. What abolitionists do. The difference between reforms and abolitionist steps. The difference between racism and anti-blackness. Movement for Black Lives. Defund the police by $1 billion. Resources listed, the 8 to abolition. Library of anti... So, I mean, they're not hiding anything. The goal here is to abolish law enforcement. Whatever. The difference between reformists, the difference between racism and anti-blackness. I don't know that we've got time to click on all these. I mean, we do, but this would just be fucking boring. Anyway. So there it is. The website is 8CantWait. It's literally the numeral 8CantWait.org. I would go take a look at this and read through it and see what's there. I mean, there might be something in it for you to look deeper into. But at the end of the day, I just wanted you guys to be aware that this was out here and what they're asking for or demanding, so that we're all on the same sheet of music here, right? The thing about being a cop is that you have to constantly educate yourself on the things that you're facing, the things that you're going to have to deal with. As a gang investigator, I educated myself on gangs. You have to do it. As a street cop, you have to educate yourself on gangs. You have to educate yourself on domestic violence. You have to educate yourself on everything that has anything to do with your job. You have to constantly be educating yourself. Constantly educating yourself. Because it makes you better at your job. And it makes you a more well-rounded cop. So constantly educate yourself. Be careful doing it. But educate yourself. You know, one of the things, and this is completely anecdotal, but one of the things I always used to be scared of is I would come home and read, I would go to websites. I would go to the local HA website, or I would go to whatever gang website. There used to be an actual social media site for gang members back in the day, and I can't remember what it's called to save my life. But early on, I made the mistake of doing it from home, and I got to thinking one day, man, if I ever die or something ever happens to me, they're gonna fucking snatch my computer and look at my browser history and think, the fuck is this guy doing? This guy's Googled fucking, Sutrese, and he's Googled Norteño, and he's Googled the Hells Angels, and he's Googled the Klan, and he's Googled neo-Nazis and neo-Confederates, and they'd either think I was a complete lunatic or that I was just everything. I mean, so I started obviously using my work computer for all of that stuff, so there would never be any question. But you absolutely have to educate yourself. It helps you in so many different ways, especially in looking at graffiti and deciphering things, and it's just, it's irreplaceable, the education. Anyway, it's enough of that bullshit. So again, 8CantWait.org. Go check it out, read through it, let you know what you're up against. Sorry this took so long, but I figured it was worth giving you a heads up. You guys be safe. If you can't be good at it. We'll see you soon.